vergadering of openbare vergadering amptelik open.
Re kopa go bula kopano ya rona semmuso.
My name is Ms. Tidimalo Lekhwase, and I will be chairing today's session.
Ek is Tidi Maliogasse, ek sal vandag die voorsitter vir hierdie vergadering wees.
Ke na le tshamelo ya gore ke nna ke tleng go nna modulasetulo wa kopano eno e re bulang ga jaanong jaana.
I am not alone, I am with my colleagues. The members of parliament that are here are members of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. I will start with their introductions. From my left, we will have Ms. Tito.
Ek is nie alleen vandag nie, aan my linkerkant het ons Tito.
Ga ke tsamaye ke le nosi ke rona portfolio committee ya parlamente mme ba ke tsamayang le bone ke badiri ka nna ba tla ikitsise go tloga fela ko tshimologong kwa ke motlotlegi Tito.
We have Honorable Kanyile.
Dan het ons agbare Kanyile.
Le motlotlegi Kanyile.
Renale Honorable Ramolobeng.
En ook agbare Ramolobeng.
And then merena le motlotlegi wa rona e leng me Molobeng.
We are here as members of parliament, but we are not alone. We are accompanied by the staff of parliament. There's just a lot of them. I cannot introduce each and every one of them, but they are sitting in the front. Some of them are sitting at the back.
Ons as 'n komitee is nie alleen hier nie. Ons het ook 'n personeel wat saam met ons is. Ek kan hulle nie almal voorstel nie. Sommige van hulle sit hier voor en sommige van hulle sit hier agter ons.
So re maloko a parlamente mme ga re tsamaye re le rosi re na le badiri ka rona ba le mmalwa ba bantsinyana gore ba ka ikitsise ba bangwe ke bale ba dutse mo tafoleng ele ba bangwe ba ntse ka fa morago ga rona.
We are also with a group of interpreters. They are going with us wherever we go. Let's acknowledge their presence.
Ons het ook 'n span tolke hier vandag wat saam met ons reis. Kom ons gee ook erkenning aan die tolkspan.
Maybe le gape re na le setlhopha sa batoloki ba ba ntseng fano fa ba tsamaya ba ya le rona gongwe le gongwe ko re yang teng gore ba re thuse ka tiro ya go toloka.
Before outlining the purpose of today's meeting, I would like for us to stand up, observe a moment of silence, meditation or prayer.
Voordat ek die belyning gee vir vandag se sitting, kan ons staan vir 'n oomblik stille gebed of meditasie.
Thank you very much.
Baie dankie.
Re leboga.
It is important to outline and inform the public of our visit to Kimberly, Galeshewe today.
Dit is belangrik om 'n oorsig te gee van die wetsontwerp wat vandag hier in Kimberly voorgelê word.
So re batla go le itsise fano ka ga boikaelelo ba leeto la rona mo Galeshewe mo Kimberley gompieno jaana.
The purpose of this hearing, as members of parliament, we are going through provinces to listen to the views of the people on this important bill, the Electoral Amentment Bill.
As lede van die parlement is dit ons doel om te reis na verskillende provinsies toe met hierdie verkiesingswysigingswetsontwerp om die opinies van die mense aan te hoor.
So jaaka ha re tsamaya jaana re tsamaya re tlokisana le batho ka molaotlhomo wa o mametleletsweng o buang ka ditlhopho re ke one o re tlotlang le batho gongwe le gongwe mo re tsamayang le bone gore ba tlhaloganye boikaelelo ba leeto la rona.
It is important for you to note that as members of parliament, we will only be listening to your views. We will not be asking any questions and we will not be responding to any questions. Because all the views that will be expressed today will be considered and will be taken into account when the committee finalizes this bill.
Dit is die doel van die lede van die parlement om te luister na die publiek se insae en opinies. Dit is nie ons rol om vrae te vra nie of om vrae te beantwoord nie. Al die insette sal oorweeg word en saamgestel word wanneer die verhore voltooi is in 'n verslag wat ons komitee sal saamstel.
Re eletsa gore le ele tlhoko gore mo kopano eno ya rona re tlile fano fa go tla go reetsa maikutlo a lona ka molaotlhomo o re o tshwereng. Re tla be re sa le botse dipotso dipe ebile ga ra lebella gore lona lo arabe dipotso dipe. Mme ditshwaelo tsotlhe tse le tlileng go di dira re tlile go di finalize ko bofelong ha kopano ya rona e setse e tswaletswe.
Before giving you the background, I would maybe like to know if we have any councillors amongst us,
Voordat ek
maybe a leader of the municipality to come and welcome us into their ward, into their municipality. And maybe if you have the tribal authorities, do we have any leader from the tribal authority? Because we would not want to get in a space where we come into an area and we seem to be undermining the authority of that area.
Dan wil ek ook vra voordat ek die oorsig gee of daar enige lede van die munisipaliteit is, raadslede of so, of enige lede van 'n stamowerheid om vir ons te verwelkom, want ons wil nie net voortgaan en bevind dat ons dalk in 'n gebied is waar daar 'n sekere owerheid is nie.
Ka jalo re batla re go itse ba gaetsho gore a gona le mongwe yo e leng gore o emetse bo mmasepala a tle gore amogela fano kgotsa ha ile gore gayo e kana ya nna mongwe yo e leng gore o emetse ntlo ya magosi gore le ene a tle gore amogela fano fa go se ke ga nna jaaka ikete re tlile mo lefelo leno le re itirela marato a ipelo ra itaola re batla gore re dire dilo ka tshwanelo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Poncho Mujwana. I'm the PR councillor in the South Lake municipality. I'm also residing in this ward. The venue is in the demarcation, in the border between two wards, the ward 12 and the ward 13. So let me take this opportunity to welcome the community members, all role players in this particular event. And I wish you all the best and in your constructive deliberation into this hearing. Thank you very much. You are most welcome, all of you.
Goeiemôre, my naam is Mpumalanga. Ek is 'n raadslid van hierdie wijk waar ons nou by hierdie saal is. Ek wil graag hierdie geleentheid gebruik maak om die gemeenskap te verwelkom, so ook die lede van die parlement.
Ke re lebogile thata ba gaetsho nka ke amogela tshiamelo eno ya go la amogela ke nna re motswa mme ke emetse mmasepala mo lefelo leno la rona ke batla gore le ikutlwe le gololesegile ke lo amogela ka diatla tsopedi ebile ke lo eleletsa tsotlhe tse di molemo ka kopano eno ya rona gompieno.
Thank you very much. And also let me acknowledge the presence of all leaders of the political parties, NGOs and NPOs and leaders of the civil society that might be in our midst today.
Dan wil ek ook geleentheid maak om van die geleentheid gebruik maak om al die lede van die politieke partye, NRO's en WO's en ook maatskaplike samelewingsorganisasies te verwelkom hier vandag.
Ka jalo gape re batla go amogela ba ba ka tswang ba le teng mo gare ga rona e leng baeteledipele gongwe ba makoko a rileng a dipolotiki kgotsa ba ba tswang mo makokong a di-ward tse di farologaneng le bone re batla go ba amogela ka ntlha ya boteng jwa bone fano gompieno mo mosong ono.
The reason we are here today is because on the 11th of June 2020, the Constitutional Court in the New Nation Movement case declared that the Electoral Act of 1998, Act number 73 is unconstitutional to the extent that it requires an adult citizen to be associated to a certain party for one to contest the elections.
Die doel waarom ons vandag hier is omdat die Grondwethof op 11 Junie 2020 beslis het dat die wet nommer 73 van 1998 ongrondwetlik is, in die mate waartoe dit vereis dat volwasse landsburgers slegs deur hul lidmaatskap aan politieke partye tot die nasionale vergadering en provinsiale wetgewers verkies mag word.
Le baka la gore le fano re lebile kgang ya molaotlhomo kgotsa molaotheo wa rona kgotlatshekelo ya rona ya molaotheo e ntshitseng tshwetso ya gore go nne le dipaakanyo dingwe mo teng ga molao wa rona wa ditlhopho e leng wa bo 73 wa 1998 o dirang gore go nne le batho ba e leng gore ha e le bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba kgone go itlhagisa jaaka bontlhopheng.
The declaration of the unconstitutionality was temporarily suspended for 24 months to allow committee or to allow parliament to deal with the remedies to defect in the Electoral Act, given the reasons raised by the court on the constitutionality of this act.
Die beslissing het beveel dat die regering 24 maande het om hierdie ongrondwetlike artikels in die wet te wysig en dit is waarmee ons tans besig is.
So re tla ela tlhoko gore taolo eno e ntshitsweng ke kgotlatshekelo ya molaotheo wa palamente e dirile gore go baakangwe karolo eo ya molao mme thulaganyo eo yotlhe ya go dira seo sotlhe se tla tsaya dikgwedi di ka nna 24 ka mantswe a mangwe go tloga ka letlha la di 24 le ka June 2020 go fitlha ka June 2022.
On the 10th of January 2022, the Home Affairs Minister then introduced the bill to Parliament. The committee published this bill in all official languages for comments from the 21st of January, and the closing date was on the 21st of February 2022.
Op die 10de Januarie 2022 het die minister van Binnelandse Sake hierdie voorgestelde wetsontwerp, wysigingswetsontwerp ter tafel gelê aan die huis en die voorgestelde wysigings is op 10 Januarie 2022 in al die nasionale of amptelike tale beskikbaar gestel vir openbare kommentaar en die sluitingsdatum daarvoor was tussen 21 Januarie 2022 en 21 Februarie 2022.
Tona ile ya ntsha tshwetso le taelo ka kgwedi ya January ya go dira gore taolo eo e ntshitswe ke kgotlatshekelo molao e tle e kgone go tsenngwa mo teng ga karolo ya molao ka boone mme e be e phasaladiwa ke lefapha la rona la merero ya selegae gore taolo e tle e kgone go sala morago le gore kwa bofelong e tle e kgone go diragadiwa.
The Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs then started a roadshow on the public hearings of this important amendment bill. And the Portfolio Committee started 2 weeks back with 14 organizations that made visual presentation before the committee.
Die departement het toe begin met 'n proses van bekendstelling en bewusmaking rondom hierdie wysigingswetsontwerp en die komitee het 2 weke gelede begin met invorder van 14 verskillende organisasies.
Ka jalo komiti ya rona ya portfolio ile ya simolola ka thulaganyo eno e dibeke tse di ka nnang pedi tse di fetileng ka nako ya ha bane ba isimolola ene ya na thulaganyo ene e tshwarola mo mafaratlhatlheng ka matsamang e sa tshwaro e le kopano ya batho ba kopane ka namana jaaka rena re ntse jana bane ba dirisa mafaratlhatlha gore ba isimolola go e tshwara.
We then had started our sessions of coming physically to our communities 5 days ago, where one group of Home Affairs went to Limpopo. They are now finishing Mpumalanga. As this group started in KZN and we are ending our journey in this province today, then we'll be moving to another province, as the other team will also be moving to another province. The intention is to cover all provinces of the country before the end of this month.
Daar is 2 spanne wat 5 dae gelede fisies begin het met openbare verhore. Een span het reeds Limpopo voltooi en is tans in Mpumalanga. Ons span het KwaZulu-Natal besoek en tans is ons in ons laaste dag hier in die Noord-Kaap, waarna ons dan sal oorbeweeg na 'n volgende provinsie toe. Die doel daarvan, dat ons 2 spanne het, is sodat ons voor die einde van hierdie maand al die openbare verhore sal voltooi.
Ka jalo re ile ra simolla ka dikokoano tseno tse tsa rona mo bekeng e fetileng, re simolla ka province ya kwa Limpopo, morago ga moo re be re ya ko provinseng ya rona ya Mpumalanga, e be re ya ko ya KZN, mme gompieno re fanofa mo Kimberly, mme e tla re ha re tswa fanofa re be re ya ko provinseng e nngwe gape e latelang. Boikaelelo jwa rona ke gore re etele diprovinse tsotlhe, mme mo bofelong jwa kgwedi ya July re be re feditse dikokoano tseno tsotlhe le go akaretsa diprovinse tse ntseng re tsamaya mo go tsone.
The end of this month, not July. The end of March.
Ke kopa tshwarelo ko bokhutlong ba kgwedi ya March, not ya July, ya March kgwedi eno e.
I can see everybody is having a copy of the draft bill. The draft bill that you are having with you proposes an amendment to the Electoral Act to include independent candidates to contest for their space in the national and in the provincial legislatures.
Ek sien almal het 'n afskrif van die voorgestelde wysigings. Die doel daarvan is om die kieswet van 1998 te wysig om sekere definisies in te voeg as gevolg van die uitbreiding van hierdie wet om onafhanklike kandidaate in te sluit as deelnemers aan die verkiesings in die nasionale vergadering en provinsiale wetgewers.
So ke a bona gore lotlhe le tshwere dipampiri tsa lona tsa molaotheo ono o kgotsa molaotlhomo o re o tshwereng ono o, lo tla ela tlhoko gore mo go one go buiwa ka ntlha ya gore batho ba e leng bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba newa tšhono ya gore le bone ba ka itlhagisa jaaka bontlhopheng ba ba ka tlhopelwang maemo a bontlhopheng mo kokoanong bosetšhaba mmogo le mo karolong ya kgotlateo molao.
Now we are going to give to the public to give our views, to give their views, and their views will be recorded by the recording staff of Parliament. And like I said, we will not have any engagement, as it is the responsibilities of members of Parliament to process all the views given by the public and finish with them as we go to Parliament to finalize the bill.
Ons sal nou geleentheid gee vir die publiek om hulle insae te lewer. Dit sal opgeneem word deur ons span hier agter. Ons sal ongelukkig nie kan interaksie hê met u nie. Ons sal slegs kan luister na u insette en opinies en daarna sal ons al die insette en opinies kan op een bymekaar kry en versamel en verwerk wanneer ons dan nou ons voorstelle maak aan die nasionale vergadering.
Re tle go simolola jaanong go utlwa maikutlo a lona ka mantswe a mangwe go lena tšhono ya go bua, mme gakologelwa ga re tle go tsena mo kganyeng ya go botsana dipotso le dikarabo jalo le jalo. Se re tleng go se dira fela ke gore re tle go reetsa maikutlo a lona, ditshwaelo tsotlhe tse le tlabeng le dintsha di tlabe di tshwaiwa le go kwalwa ke badiri ba rona ba ba dutseng ka fa morago ga rona ka fale. Go fitlha ka nako e ka yone re tla be re di kokoantse mmogo re be re di finalize ha re sena go boela ko parlamenteng.
And my request to you will be that let's tolerate each other. Let's give each other space to talk. Let's listen to the speaker that will be on the podium by then, because nobody will be making a wrong submission and nobody will be making a right submission. And no submission will be seen as best or not best. So I request a high level of discipline and respect towards each other as we will be making our submissions.
Daarmee wil ek graag vra dat ons respek teenoor mekaar sal betoon, dat ons verdraagsaam sal wees teenoor 'n persoon wat 'n spreekbeurt kry. Ek wil vir u noem dat daar is nie iets soos 'n regte of 'n verkeerde inset of 'n indiening nie. Elkeen is regverdig en ek verwag asseblief die hoogste vlak van dissipline dat wanneer 'n persoon die mikrofoon inneem, dat ons mooi sal luister na wat hulle sê en almal sal respekteer.
Ka jalo re tle go kopa gore ha mongwe wa lona a tlabe a bua ba bangwe ba botlhe ba ba reditseng lo mo neyeng tšhono, le mo reetse, le mo tlotle, hela jaaka le lona le batla gore lo tlotlwe. Ka jalo re itseng gore ditshwaelo tsotlhe tse re di ntshang, ga gona tshwaelo e sa siamang kgotsa tshwaelo e go katong yone e siame go gaisa e nngwe. Ga rena dikarabo tse di sa siamang le tse di sa siamang, tse di siameng le tse di sa siamang. Ka jalo re kopa gore re itshwareng sentle, re ikgalemeleng, re nneng le batho ba boitshwaro jwa maemo a kwa godimo, gore thulaganyo ya rona e tsamaye sentle.
And also I must put it before you that we are not here to listen to service delivery queries. As we've been making inroads, we had members of the community complaining about so many issues towards the IEC and their processes of running elections. Yes, the IEC is part of us as the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, but we are not here for now to do that or to respond to any queries related to IEC or any service delivery issue. What we are here for is for the Electoral Amendment Bill. Having said that, I am going to note a hands of speakers, and each and every speaker that's been noted will come and sit in the middle, and they will be given a chance to make their submissions.
Daarmee wil ek ook sê dat ons is hier vir die verkiesingswysigingswetsontwerp. Ons sal nie enige insette of opinies aanhoor wat verband hou met diensleweringkwessies nie of met die OVK nie. Ja, die OVK is verantwoordbaar tot ons departement van Binnelandse Sake, maar ons is spesifiek vandag hier om die verkiesingswysigingswetsontwerp te hanteer. Enige ander sulke kwessies sal ons nie kan aanhoor of op reageer nie. Ons sal nou vra vir hande van die van u wat 'n spreekbeurt wil hê. U sal aangewys word en dan in hierdie middelste ry 'n sitplek kan inneem.
Ela ntlhoko gape gore jaaka ha re le fano fa go atle go direge gore maloko a mangwe a setšhaba jaaka go diregile maabane ba ntsha dingongorego di le dintsi thata tse di amanang le mathata a ditirelo mo setšhabeng. Jaanong itseng gore se ga se re setletseng fa rona re tlile go bua fano fa ka molaotlhomo ono o tlhabolotsweng wa ditlhopho. Ka jalo ha ba bangwe ba ngongorega ka lefapha le le tshwana le la IEC, rona ga rena dikarabo ka ga mathata a ba tlhagisang ka IEC. Ke nnete gore rona re portfolio committee e IEC e leng karolo ya rona e ikarabelang kwa Home Affairs, mme fela re tlo go kopa gore lo reetse ntlha eo ka kelotlhoko. Ka jalo ba ba batlang go bua re kopa gore ba tla newa manno, ba tsholetse matsogo ba newe manno mo gare ga ditilo tse di pitikolotsweng tseno tse gore ba tla ba kgone go siamela go ntsha ditshwaelo tsa bone.
I would like to start noting hands for submissions. Anybody that would like to raise a view or submit, now it's your chance to raise your hand.
Enige iemand wat nou 'n geleentheid wil hê om u opinie te lig of iets voor te lê, nou is die geleentheid om u hand op te steek.
Ka jalo ope fela ba gaetsho ka ratang go bua re kopa lo tsholetseng letsogo re lo ne maemo a gore lo ya go bua.
That's number one. The second hand, I saw the second hand. Do we have any other hand that would like to make a submission?
Enige ander hand wat 'n inset wil lewer?
You may follow. You may sit in the middle. Any other hand for the first round of submissions?
A teng a mangwe matsogo a oketsegileng.
And in making your submissions, it is important for you to let us know if you are for or against the amendment of this bill.
Wanneer u insette lewer, is dit ook vir ons belangrik om te weet of u vir of teen hierdie wetsontwerp is.
Re tlo go kopa lo re etse ka kelotlhoko ba gaetsho pele lo bua lo itlhalosa gore ko ena mang le gore a lo amogela molaotlhomo ono o kgotsa ga le dumalane le one. Ntlha eo e botlhokwa thata ko tshimologong.
The first speaker might come into the podium.
U kan nou u spreekbeurt inneem.
Re tla utlwa sebui sa ntlha.
Dumelang. I, Tlotlo Lobelo from the African National Congress, Ward 21 in the Salt Lake sub-region, support the minimalist approach The ANC has always supported a proportional representation system as it is best suited to a country as diverse as ours in terms of race, class, language. It ensures that every political viewpoint shared by more than 1/4% of the population is able to find representation in Parliament and speaks on behalf of that constituency. We have never supported a first-past-the-post constituency system, as it is very difficult to reach the same level of diverse representation when only one or maybe a handful of people are selected to represent a distinct geographical area. The PR system also allows for better representation of women, youth, and other marginalized groups. The ANC supports option 1 as included on the amendment bill. We broadly support it as the best option for implementing constitutional court order. As the ANC, we are also very concerned that the new system can result in a very long ballot paper that is impractical. A multi-page ballot is a big problem for voters, the IEC, and parties. It will need a much longer time to vote, as voters must search for the name of their party or independent among many other names. A 10-page booklet for a ballot will mean that the ANC needs to have a much bigger budget for printing, distribution, and staff. Even ballot boxes will have to be 10 times as many to accommodate the ballots. Counters will have to check every page of every ballot to make sure it is not spoiled by a voter voting twice. Counting could take 5 times or even 10 times as long. We are very concerned that the amendments should find a way not to waste money, time, and make elections too complicated and impractical. Ultimately, if voters find it difficult to vote and find their preferred choice on a ballot, the election will not reflect the will of the people. You need to review the qualifications to stand as an independent candidate and as a new party. If you do not make it stricter, we can have thousands of candidates. In 2019, only 14 of the 48 parties made it into Parliament. We propose that new parties who have not yet been represented in a legislature or Parliament and independent candidates should be able to demonstrate that they have voter support and have some chance of winning a seat. We suggest that the threshold should be at least 1/3 of the quota needed for one seat in the previous election. Thank you very much.
Very much. And also, each speaker will be given 3 to 5 minutes. I will stop you when your 5 minutes is finished, and maybe after making a presentation, you can give one of our staff your written submission, just for recording. Thank you.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's wait for the interpreters.
Goeiedag, my naam is Kutla Lomela en ek is van die ANC in die Solplaatjie gebied. Ons as ANC stem saam met die wetsontwerp en ons ondersteun die proporsionele systeem wat gevolg word. Ons is wel gefokus op diversiteit en klas en taal en voel wel dat almal ingesluit moet word in hulle insaag wat hulle het as ook hulle perspektiewe. Dit is wel moeilik soms om diverse groepe te verteenwoordig, maar ons voel wel dat die systeem wat geïmplementeer sal word vroue en ander gemarginaliseerde groepe in sal sluit. Ons as ANC is wel bekommerd dat die stemproses waarin onafhanklike kandidaate ingesluit gaan word, juis 'n lang proses sal wees. Een van ons kommernisse is dat daar 'n baie lang stembrief sal wees wat baie onprakties sal wees en ook 'n lang tyd sal neem vir stemmers om te soek vir die kandidaat wat hulle wel voor wil stem. En ons is ook bewus daarvan dat die stemlyste en briewe geweldig lank sal wees. As ook die printwerk van die uitdrukwerk van enige van die briewe sal ook lank vat, as ook die bokse waarin die stemme moet geplaas word, gaan heelwat 10 keer groter wees. En die persone wat stemme tel en inneem sal dan ook voortdurend moet seker maak dat die stemme korrek ingedien is en dat daar nie dalk 'n stemmer is wat meer as 1 keer gestem het in hul soektog vir 'n kandidaat nie. Ons wil ook aan die voorhou dat die wysigingswetsontwerp nie geld en tyd moet mors nie. Ons voel dus dat daar ook by die wysigings ingesluit moet word dat die kwalifikasies wat stemmers het ook weer na gekyk moet word. Ons verkies dalk dat dit strenger moet wees sodat dit nie toelaat dat enige persoon wat sal wil staan die geleentheid sal kry nie. 'n Kiezer wat wel wil staan en vir die verkiesing wil staan, moet seker maak dat hulle alreeds ondersteuning het van die gemeenskappe en hulle moet ook bewyse kan toon dat hulle 'n kans sal staan om in die nasionale vergadering en provinsiale wetgewing sal kan staan. En dan het ons voorsitter net weer eens genoem dat al die sprekers in ag moet neem dat hulle net 3 tot 5 minute 'n spreekbeurt sal kry en wanneer hulle daardie tydperk oorskry dat hulle wel 'n indikasie daarvan kan gee. Maar as u nog insaag het na die tyd, na u mondelings u insaag gelewer het, kan u dit ook skriftelik indien.
Dumelang, leina la me ke Tlotlo Lebelo, ke tswa kwa ANC Hot 21 mo Solplaki Municipality. Re tshegetsa molaotlhomo o mametleletsweng o ka gonne o akaretsa basadi, batho ba ba farologaneng le batho ba ba sa tshwaneng go ya ka lotso. Molaotlhomo kana molao wa ntlha re ne re sa o tshegetse ka gonne o ne o na le matsapatsapa a mantsi. Ga jaanong thulaganyo e bitswang PR system e letla gore motho a ikemele e le ntlhopheng ka nosi. Ka jalo e re le ANC re ne re tshwenyega ka bontlhopheng ba ikemelang ka nosi ka gonne go tsaya nako le lobaka le le ntsi go tlhokega tekanyetsokabo ya go tsweletsa bontlhopheng bao, go tlhokega badiri ba ba tla tsweletsang dibaloto tseo le go di tlhola gore a di netefetse ebile di siame. Go bala ga ditlhopho tseo tsa bontlhopheng le gona go tsaya sebaka ka gonne tiro ya teng o fitlhela o ka e dira makgetlho a ka nna a le 5 go na le tiro e e tlwaelegileng ya go bala. Ka jalo ne re bona e le tshenyo ya didiriswa, nako le matlole. Mme gape ke bua gape gore bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng re tshwanetse go sekaseka borutegi ba bona le tshwanelo ya bona gore a ba fitlhella ditlhokego tsotlhe tse di tlhokegang gore o nne ntlhopheng. Ka jalo go raya gore makoko a mantšha a bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng a tla tlhoka gore a nne le batlhophi ba bantsintsi fela gore ba kgone go fitlhella palo 3 ya batlhophi ba ba tlhokegang. Ka jalo ke re molao ono re a o tshegetsa.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Once again, good morning, members of parliament, members of the community from the different sectors. I know I welcomed you as a representative from municipality earlier, but now I'm standing here in my capacity as a representative of the economic freedom fighters. And we as the economic freedom fighters, our submission is as follows. We as the EFF, we do not support the bill because as a country, we do not think that we are ready administratively for the bill, both from the IEC and Parliament, over and above other political challenges it will bring. This bill is not going to strengthen our democracy. Instead, it is just going to be used to infiltrate oversight and the legislative process by people who want to use money to control individuals that are not accountable to a collective but only to themselves. But since the Constitutional Court has put a position, we believe that independent candidates must contest national general elections on the following conditions. The threshold for the nomination of the independent candidates must not be less than 20,000. And these must be people who are registered to vote, and the IEC must be able to verify them individually one by one as they are doing when people are voting. They are verifying them individually one by one. The reasons we are saying the threshold must be higher for those wishing to contest is because it is lower. We are going to have thousands of candidates who are provincial and national elections, and that will be impossible to efficiently administer from an electoral point of view. The deposit that independent candidates must pay must be the same as the deposit paid by political parties, and it must not be refundable, as the inclusion of independent candidates will come with costs, and people who wish to stand should not be taking chances. What applies to political parties must also apply to independent candidates. Those who contest individual independent candidates and get higher votes than is required to get a weight in Parliament must forfeit the remaining votes, because they would have been given a clear and equal opportunity and option to contest as a political party. We strongly discourage by-elections to replace independent candidates who either die or resign from Parliament or legislature because of such is permitted. The country will permanently be in by-elections. We don't have time to go to elections, we have time to serve our people. Thank you very much.
Baie dankie, voorsitter, komitee, lede van die publiek. Ek het hier gegroet as 'n wijkraadslid en tans is ek hier as 'n verteenwoordiger van die ekonomiese vryheidsvegters. Ons is die EFF, ondersteun nie hierdie wetsontwerp nie. Ons voel dat die regering, so ook die OVK, nie administratiewelik gereed is vir so 'n proses nie. En dit is nie ten goeie van die bou van 'n sterker demokrasie nie. Dit is bloot 'n poging om die individue wat geld het te kry om beheer te hê oor die proses. Die grondwethof het wel bevind dat dit ongrondwetlik is en ons voel dat sou dit voortgaan, moet daar 'n beperking wees waar 'n individuele kandidaat of onafhanklike kandidaat ten minste 20,000 stemme moet hê van geregistreerde kiesers wat individueel deur die OVK geverifieer moet word. Sou hulle nie sodanige hoeveelheid of 20,000 stemme kon bymekaar kry nie, dan moet daardie onafhanklike kandidaat nie goedgekeur word om te staan nie. Die departement of die onafhanklike kandidaat en politieke partye moet eweveel betaal aan die deposito om te staan vir die verkiesing. En hierdie deposito moet nie terugbetaalbaar wees nie. Dit is om te verhoed dat onafhanklike kandidaate nie kansse neem en die proses belemmer en nie deel vorm van die demokratiese proses nie. Daar moet ook dieselfde reëls geld vir onafhanklike kandidaate sowel as partye. Daar moet ook geleentheid wees om hierdie onafhanklike kandidaate teen te staan of hulle nominasies te betwis. Ons voel dat ook onafhanklike kandidaate nie net permanent vervang kan word en dat daar gestem moet word om onafhanklike kandidaate te vervang nie. Dit sal lei tot permanente verkiesings wat in die land plaasvind en daarvoor het ons nie tyd nie. Dankie.
Dumelang, ke ne ke eme fano ke tlhalosa gore ke professional representative, mme jaanong ke ema fano jaaka leloko la EFF. Rona re le ba EFF ha re tshegetse molaotlhomo ono o mameletsweng ka gonne ga re na bokgoni jwa tsamaiso jwa go tlhotlha le go tsweletsa le go tlhola gore a tsamaiso ya bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng e tsamaisiwa sentle. Thulaganyo eno gape ya bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ga e tiise democracy ya rona. E tla ka matswakabele a mantsi mo e leng gore o fitlhele batho ba dirisa madi go reka bontlhopheng gore ba kgone go fitlhela ditulo tse dintsi mo kokoanotheobosetšhaba kana mo dikgotlatheomolao. Ka jaaka kgotlatshekelo ya molaotheo e tsere tshwetso ya gore go fetolwe mametlelelo ya molaotlhomo o wa ditlhopho, re ya go tshegetsa seo kgotlatshekelo e se buileng, fela re na le mabaka a re batlang go a baa kana tsona di-conditions. Re tshitshinya gore mo mabakeng a re a beang ao go seke ga nna bonnyane ba batho ba ka nna 20,000 bao ba ka kgonang go tsenela go nna bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng. Re batla gore e nne mongwe ka bongwe, mongwe le mongwe a tle a le monosi, e nne motho a le mongwe le a le mongwe. Gonne fa dipalo di nna kwa tlase thata, re nna le mathata kwa dikgotlatheomolaong le kwa kgotlapeomolao mo e leng gore fitlhela e le gore dipalo tsa batho ba ba tsang karolo di kwa tlase thata. Kgwetlho e nngwe gape ya bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ke gore o fitlhela e le gore ba tshwanetse go duela madi a mantsi, mme ka jalo re re seo se diragalelang lekoko la sepolotiki se tshwanetse gape sa diragalela ntlhopheng a le mongwe le mongwe, ka gonne fa bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ba tla ka bontsi, makoko a dipolotiki a ya go latlhegelwa ke ditulo tse dintsi mo palamenteng. Ka jalo rona ha re eme nokeng go nna le ditlhopho tse di bidiwang di-by-elections fa leloko lengwe le tlhokafetse kana le rola tiro, ka gonne re le lekoko ga re na nako ya ditlhopho tlaleletso kana di-by-election, re na le nako fela ya go tla go rebolela batho ditirelo. Ke a leboga.
Ya, ke a dumedisa ketapele ke le Kgositsile Sekgoro go tswa mo motseng wa Galeshewe, Solplaatje Municipality, Francis Bart. Pele ke tshwaela ke na le matshwenyego a go itsise ka kopano e ya gompieno e. A ile se partnership ya rona ya NPO gore itsise ka kopano e ka ke sa itse ka ga yona. Re na le di radio station mo motseng wa rona, Radio Temane, Radio Revival, le bone di ward councillor tse go tla go itsise motse mo gore kopano e tshwanang ka e tlo go tsenela gompieno. Ga re sa itse ya ke a kopa mo nakong e tlang a re diriseng batho ba bone ba di councillor ba le di radio station tse ke di boleletseng. Na ke tswa mo mokgatlong wa fepang setšhaba NPO gone mo motseng wa Vergenoeg Galeshewe. Se ke se buang ke gore rona re o agela losako molao o gore o tsene tirisong. Ntho ke gore re tlabe e rena maatla le rona re le di NPO. Ha o tla go sheba di NPO di dira go tlala mo motseng le gone the entire country ya rona, but ga gona mo e leng gore ba tlotlomasiwa gore ba dira tiro e. Yaanong ke ka moo mo e leng gore rona re le di NPO re tla kgona go bona gore re ka tsamang a gore emela kwa o le gore o tla re utla ka ditsebe le go bona gore dilo tse di a diragala tse re batlang gore di diragale for batho ba rona. Ke a leboga.
Good morning. My name is Kgositsile Sekgoro. I am from Galeshewe, Solplaatje Municipality in the Francis Bart. Before I make my submission, I want to raise a concern about this gathering. Most of us, we were not aware about this event today, despite having radio stations like Radio Temane, which could have been used to inform us about this gathering. Therefore, I suggest that in future, let us use all the media resources available here so that we are able to be informed about gatherings or public hearings of this nature. I am from the non-profit organization, NPO, and we wholeheartedly support this bill because it gives the NPO powers to participate and take decisions in governing processes, and it furthermore gives us recognitions as the NPOs because we do a lot of community work and we have a lot to contribute. Therefore, I'd like to emphasize that the NPOs are very important, and we welcome this bill as it will enhance our participation in decision-making processes. Thank you.
Thank you, and let me say that we note each and everything that comes up, any concern that you're raising, we're taking it into cognizance. Thank you.
Goeiemorgen, mijn naam is Sitle Sogoro. En ik wil net sê dat ek is van die Galeshewe area en van die Francis Baard distrik. Ek wil eerstens net almal begroet en goeiemôre sê en dan wil ek ook net 'n paar probleme wat ek het uitspreek. Eerstens oor die vergadering wat ons het hier vandag. Ons as gemeenskap is nie bewus van die vergadering wat vandag hier gehou word nie, ten spyte daarvan dat daar verskillende radiostasies en ander media is waardeur ons ingelig kan word. So ons stel net voor dat ons in die toekoms bereik sal word deur die gebruik van hierdie media en radiostasies ensovoorts om ingelig te kan word oor vergaderinge en ook publieke verhore. Dan wil ek net uitspreek maak dat ek wel saamstem met die wysigingswetsontwerp want dit ondersteun NRO's en dit gee ons ook die mag om deel te kan neem en as gemeenskap om ook insaag te kan neem en dit help ons ook om meer deelname in die parlement en prosesse te kan hê. Dankie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Thamsanqa Dlambulo. I'm the chairperson of Mpumalanga Youth Movement, an NPO based in Galeshewe, Kimberly. I am also here representing the informal settlements of Kimberly and surrounding areas. As a country and a planet, we have gone through a very difficult period of COVID-19 pandemic. As a country specifically, we have also recently experienced a devastating phenomenon called state capture, which has made the poor of the poorest to become even more poorer. It is therefore important for a process like this, and we would like to thank Parliament for bringing it to us, the way we revisit and relook at our democracy to make sure that it adds value to our people. We as civil society and informal settlement of Kimberly believe that the amendment of Act 73 of 1998 is long overdue. Currently, there are already too many Mickey Mouse parties that spring up just before the elections, but none of them add any value to the lives of our people. So we would like to support the amendment of this act, but for the independence, it must be a strict process where we will only get the best of the best, and we can ensure that not every Jack and Jill will just put their names and fill up the ballot paper, that only the ones who are serious and those who are deserving will only make it there. Secondly, the independent candidates also must pay equal amount as the political parties, and they must undergo a strict process to bring those only who are serious, like I said. They must also submit a list of 20,000 signatories that is verified and to ensure that we do not have fly-by-nights that will be coming to mess with our electoral process. Lastly, when the independent passes away, the seat must remain vacant. There must be no by-election because this is not a political party, this is an independent candidate. So, as civil society and as informal settlements of Kimberly, Galeshewe, we support the amendment and we therefore submit. I thank you.
Goeiemôre. My naam is Kamsanga Kambula. Ek is van Galeshewe, informele nedersettingsverteenwoordiger. Ons het die afgelope tyd die pandemie ervaar wat 'n baie moeilike tyd was. Ons het staatskaping gesien wat plaasvind wat die armes net nog armer maak. En ons voel dat vandag het ons hier 'n baie belangrike platform vir ons waar ons bydra kan lewer tot die waarde van die mense. Die wetsontwerp of wysigingswetsontwerp is baie nodig en dit is eintlik al meer as 19 jaar later wat dit baie nodig is. Dit is ook nodig dat ons nie net lukrake partye het wat sommer net voor 'n verkiesing opspring en dan nou deel wil neem nie, maar dat individue wat regtig ernstig is, kans kan kry om deel te neem aan hierdie proses. Dat nie elke Jan Rap en sy maat net kan staan as 'n onafhanklike kandidaat nie. Daar moet 'n streng proses gevolg word, is ons aanbeveling, dat daar 'n lys is met 32,000 getekende handtekeninge, wat ook individueel geverifieer moet word, sodat mense nie net oornag kan deelneem aan die proses en nie die nodige verifikasies het nie. Daarmee voel ons ook dat as 'n individuele of onafhanklike kandidaat sterf, dat daardie setel oop moet bly. En so hoop ons dat die maatskaplike samelewing kan deelneem aan hierdie verkiesingsprosesse en dat ons dit ook heel hartiglik kan ondersteun. Baie dankie.
Dumelang, leina la me ke Thamsanga Khambule, ke tswa mo Galeshewe mo Kimberly, mme ke moemedi wa batho ba ba nnang mo mafelong a sa tlhomamang. Ke rata gore pele ke tswela pele ke bue gore re tswa mo leroborobo la COVID-19 le sentseneng re le mo go lone, mme le re gogisa boima re le puso go ka tsweletsa ditirelo, mme gape le go thusumediwa ga ditshwetso tsa puso seo se bidiwang state capture se koafaditse thata puso le tsamaiso. Ka jalo ra leboga ebile re bona go le botlhokwa thata gore palamente ebe e le fano gompieno go tla go sekaseka gape demokrasi le go itiisa ka mekgwa ya go tshwana le ditheetso tsa botlhe tsa go tshwana le tse se diragalang gompieno. Mme rona re le baagi ba badudi ba mo go sa tlhomamang sentle re re molaotlhomo o mametleletseng o ka bo o diragile bogologolo thata ka gonne mo nakong e fetileng re bone makoko a tshwanang le a bo di Mickey Mouse a runya a tlhagelela ka bontsi, mme jaanong re tshegetsa molaotlhomo o fela re re gonne le batho ba ba nang le borutegi le bokgoni jo bo maleba, e seke ya nna fela batho fela ba tsena e nna bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng, tshwantse e nne batho ba e leng gore ba ikemiseditse ebile ba tlhoka gore e ka nna bontlhopheng. Mme ra re bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ba tshwanetse go duela tlhwatlhwa e lekanang le ya makoko a sepolotiki le gore gape ba fitlhele ditsaeno kgotsa ba saenelwe ke batho ba ba ka nnang 20,000 go tila gore re seke ra nna le batho bao ba bidiwang bo fly by night ba ba tlhagellang fela ba runya re sa itse gore ba tswa kwa kae. Mme ntlha e nngwe ya bofelo ke gore fa ntlhopheng yo ikemetseng a ka tlhokofala, setulo sa gagwe se seke sa tlhola tiro kana se seke ga nna gore go tlhokega gore go tlatsiwe ka mokgwa wa ditlhophotlaleletso, ka gonne motho o ke motho ya ikemetseng ga se lekoko la sepolotiki. Mme rona jaaka re le civil society re tshegetsa molaotlhomo o mametleletseng o wa ditlhopho. Ke a leboga.
Dumelang, my name is Sipiwe Millicent George. I said I'll speak Setswana and Afrikaans and English on Sosmos van Kimberly. So remixa hela mama ribua dharmakar. Na ke representa na as a citizen and also like a community worker, because re rana the community programs. Mine will mainly be saying SCP where I support, I support this bill and it is very important. One of the things that stands out to me about the whole process is that I feel there is not a lot of education behind such important participations, and I would really love to recommend that comes out strong more, because every day there are court cases, the constitution is being challenged, and there are judgments against a lot of things that the citizens themselves are not maybe aware of. But if the process, like maybe the terms of reference of the parliament to the people, is to make the constitution and how the country's been run relevant, and for the people to be able to sort of like understand and associate, and see themselves as role players in terms of the whole process. So for me, it is that we need more, not just from a political point, and not just when it is time for elections, but we need to know how does this country of us run, because most of us, remoli fifing fella, we are just in the dark. And then I would love to see this, because yes, I believe that elected representatives who are elected on their personal capacity, it will, with the right terms of references, it will promote, that gap, accountability to us as the people, not just to their political parties and so on. So that education for me is important. Yes, we need to promote more citizen interaction with these types of things. Risk now overwhelmed when we see parliament and then and then the last recommendation is build up sessions, towards this type of process. Maybe from Monday, last week, we have sessions where we are invited to come and be educated to say, this is how you can participate and this is what it will mean. So for me, what stands out more and strong is that we need to be educated and we need to promote that more and more people come and participate so that they can work towards, fixing this country. We all need to play our part. Thank you.
Goeiemôre, my naam is Sipiwe George. Ek sal lekker my taal kan meng. Ons is immers hier van Kimberly. Ek is 'n inwoner en 'n gemeenskapswerker en ek ondersteun hierdie wetsontwerp. Dit is die belangrikste om te noem. Wat ek wel voel 'n kwessie is dat daar nie genoegsame inligting is wat vooraf met mense gedeel word oor hierdie wetsontwerp nie. Dat daar meer moet gedoen word om mense in te lig en mense te laat verstaan waaroor hierdie wetsontwerp werklik handel en wat die proses is om deel te neem aan so openbare verhoor. ons hoor van hofsaake en uitsprake wat gemaak word, maar die mense is nie werklik bewus van hoekom dit gebeur nie en wat die uitwerking is van so 'n beslissing nie. Ons wil hê dat daar 'n platform moet wees waar die grondwet makliker verstaanbaar kan wees vir die gemeenskap, dat dit meer toeganklik is vir mense om te verstaan, sodat mense werklik kan rolspelers wees in hierdie proses en kan weet hoe werk ons land. Dan sien ek wel dat 'n onafhanklike kandidaat, die proses om 'n onafhanklike kandidaat te hê, werklik 'n goeie proses sal wees, dat daardie persoon meer verantwoordbaar kan wees aan die gemeenskap waar hy verkies is. En weer eens wil ek dit net uitlig dat ons voel, dit is soms maar bietjie oorweldigend as die parlement hier opdaag en ons weet nie altyd hoe om dit te werk nie, dat daar miskien 5 dae voordat die parlement hierdie verhore het, dat daar opleidingssessies sal wees, dat die gemeenskap kan kom en ingelig word oor waaroor hierdie wetsontwerp handel, wat die proses is, hoe doen ons 'n voorlegging of 'n indiening, en dit sal help dat die mense opgelei kan word en bemagtig kan word en bevorder sal word in hulle rol as gemeenskapslede en hoe hulle dat daar interaksie is met die parlement en die regering. Baie dankie.
Dumelang, leina la me ke Simphiwe George, ke ile go bua ka Setswana, Afrikaans le English. Rona mo Kimberly re tswaka-tswakanya hela dipuo. Ka jalo, nna ke le moagi, ke le Simphiwe jana, ke modiredi wa setšhaba. Mme ke tshegetsa molaotlhomo o. Fela ke na le tshitshinyo e le nngwe ya gore ga gona thuto e ntsi e neetsweng baagi ka ga tiragalo eno ya gompieno. Mme go tlhokega gore batho ba kgone go itse gore gompieno re tlile go dirang le gore go direga eng. Seno se bontsha gape le bokoa jwa gore molaotheo wa rona o boa kwa dikgotlatshekelo o gwetlhiwa. Seo se bontsha gore molaotheo wa rona ga wa tia. Mme ka jalo ke rata go bolelela parlamente gore e nne le seo se bidiwang di-terms of reference tseo e leng gore di tla ikaelela go tsibosa baagi ka ga molaotheo. Re tlhoka go le gontsi ka ga kitso ya molaotheo, e seng fela ka ga kitso ya sepolotiki, le gore re kgone go itse gore naga eno ya rona e tlile go tsamaisiwa jang motsing bontlhopheng bao ba ba ikemetseng ba nnang teng. Bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ba botlhokwa ka gonne ba tswalela mokhino kana makoa a leng teng mo boikarabeding. Ka jalo fa ba le teng go tla nna le boikarabelo jo bontsi go tswa kwa pusong. Ke rata gape go tiisa le go gatelela gore thuto kgotsa go ruta batho go botlhokwa thata. Fa re ruta batho re ba rotloetsa gore ba tsaya karolo mo matshelong a baagi, le gore fa go na le tiragalo ya go tshwana le e, o sa iphitlhela re tshogile re tatasela re tshositse ke gore parlamente gompieno e tlile fano fa gae. Re tshwanetse go e tlwaela, re itse gore ke batho ba rona. Go nne le dithulaganyo tsa go ruta le go lemosa le go neelana ka kitso ya ka fao re ka tseyang karolo re le baagi, le go oketsa gore bobusi kana tsamaiso ya puso e tiisa ke batho ba tshwana le rona re le baagi jana. Ke a leboga.
Do we have another round of speakers? We do not want to leave anyone behind. You may come forth. Any other hand? You'll be the second speaker at the back. The third speaker with a black jersey. Anyone from this side? You may be, sister with a white shirt, you'll be the fourth, you will be the last. This is our last round of speakers. So if really you are sitting down and you would like to make a submission, this is your time to raise your hand and come forth. Because after this round, we will not be opening another round of hands.
Het ons enige ander sprekers wat al insa wil lewer? Die kandidaate wat ek aangedui het, hulle kan na vore kom. Enige persoon wat nog sit en graag insa wil lewer, hierdie sal ons laaste ronde van invorderings van insette wees. So as u wel iets wil noem of sê, nou is die tyd om so te doen.
Ke kopa gore le tsholetseng diatla le tleng kwano. Eno ke round ya rona ya bofelo, mme morago ga fano ga rena go tsa ba bang. Ke a le lemoga le atla dula mo ditilong jaaka di ntse mola di tlhomagantswe, le tleng re tleng go tlisa ditshitshinyo tsa lona ka gonne eno ke tikologo ya bofelo, ga rena go tswelela pele morago ga fano fa a re atumeleng bagaetsho.
O ka dumela mme wa dira submission ya gago.
Good afternoon. My name is Pete Olaine. I'm from the Siyathemba Community Movement. We are from Priska, and I think Pixley Kaseme district, and I think we have some concern around the issue of the venues. We are all the way from Pixley, and we must now present here in Kimberly. From our side, as the Siyathemba Community Movement, we are opposed to this bill that the government intends to pass because it is unconstitutional and does not allow for the true direct elections of our leaders to Parliament. We as the people want to directly choose our leaders, not political parties imposing politicians on us. We are in support of a constituency system that has the name and face of every person on the voting paper. We need a constituency-based system, and it has already been identified by numerous commissions and the majority of the ministerial advisory report. The government bill favors the politicians and not the people. It is also unconstitutional for many reasons, but I will focus on the independent candidates' limited access to the 200 seats. In terms of the Electoral Amendment Bill, independent candidates are not able to contest the 200 national-to-national seats in the National Assembly. And independent may only contest the regional seats in the National Assembly, precluding independent candidates from contesting 200 of the seats in the National Assembly and reserving those seats for political parties limits the rights of the independent candidates to contest the election in section 19(3)(b) of the Constitution, and in turn limits the right of the citizens to vote. The net effect of the amendment bill is thus an independent candidate will not be able to win a seat in the National Assembly despite having significant support from the electorate and despite receiving sufficient votes to meet the quota of votes per national to national seats. Political parties and their supporters do not suffer the same disadvantage as political parties are able to contest to win national to national seats. A political party does not obtain sufficient votes to win the regionally, may still obtain a compensatory seat in the National Assembly. I thank you.
Goeiedag, my naam is Piet Olijn. Ek is van die Siatemba area en ek wil net graag my beswaar uitspreek teenoor die lokaal wat gekies was vir vandag se vergadering. Ons is van die Pixley area en ons moet al die pad na Kimberly kom vir die sitting. So dit is wel iets wat ons 'n probleem mee. Ons is dan teen die wysigingswetsontwerp, want ons voel eerstens dat dit nie grondwetlik is nie, dit is ongrondwetlik en ons voel dat dit nie die ware kandidate wat wel kan staan geallokeer word voor nie. Ons voel juist dat die gemeenskap hulle kandidate moet kies en dat dit nie van die parlement af moet kom nie. Ons wil dan ook net vra dat daar ingebring moet word onder hierdie wysigings dat ons hoofpunt is dat die kandidate se kiesing om 'n setel te kan kry stop by 200 stemme en ons wil graag hê dat daarna moet gekyk word. Dan wil ons ook noem en betoos die feit dat die regte wat ons as onafhanklike kandidate dan het wel verskil van die politieke partye en dat dit wel ook reggestel moet word. Ons wil ook in ag neem dat die prosesse wat daar gestel word vir onafhanklike kandidate om te neem, nie dieselfde is as die van politieke partye nie en dat hulle ook nie dieselfde uitdagings het as onafhanklike partye as hier nie. So ons wil ook noem dat die hoeveelheid stemme wat politieke partylede in moet vorder nie dieselfde is nie. Soms sal ons daarvan bewus wees dat hulle nie die merk wat daar gestel word van hoeveelheid stemme wat wel ingevorder moet word, dit nie bekom nie, maar dat hulle steeds 'n setel toegeken word. En dis van die ongemaklikhede wat ons het en voel dat dit nie dieselfde merke is wat daar gestel word vir onafhanklike partye en politieke partye nie. Dankie.
Dumelang, leina la me ke PA Olin, ke tswa kwa baaging ba Sinothemba, kwa karolong ya Pix le Ikaseme. Ke na le ngongora pele nka tswela pele, tebang le mafelo ao go tshwarelwang ditheetso tse di jaana. Re tswa kgakala kwa Pix le Ikaseme go tlela ditheetso tsena mo Kimberly, mme ntlha eno ke ngongorego mo go nna. Ga re tshegetse molaotlhomo ona o mameletletsweng ka gonne ga o latele molaotheo mo re letlegelang gore re ka itlhophela batho ka tlhamalalo. Re tshegetsa thulaganyo e leng gore baagi kana ditlhopha tsa baagi di ka itlhophela motho o ba batlang gore e nne ena yo a ba emelelang ka nako ya ditlhopho. Go nnile le di-commission tse dintsi le dipegelo tsa kgakololo ya ditona tebang le kgang e, mme ka jalo re re ga go ka fa molaong. Gape ke bua gape ke re ga go ka fa molaong gore ntlhopeng e ikemetseng a fitlhelele ditulo di ka nna 200. Seno se dira gore ba ske ba fitlhelela kemedi kwa kokwanong bosetšhaba, mme ka go rialo e nne go tswele fela mosola makoko a dipolotiki e seng bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng. Karolo ya bo 93B ya molaotheo e na le ka fao e fokotsang ditshwanelo tsa go tlhopha. Mme ka go rialo le fa ba ka nna teng bontlhopheng bao ba ka seke ba gapa ditulo kwa kokwanong bosetšhaba. Mme go tla le re mo e leng gore makoko a dipolotiki ke ona fela a tla fitlhelelang ditulo tse dintsi, mme bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ba ka se fitlhelele sepe. Mme seno ke selo se se tlhobaetsang e le ruri. Ke a leboga.
I, Simone Sekaba, from the African National Court.
Kindly remove your mask so that we can hear you clearly.
I, Simone Sekaba, from the African National Congress, Hot 28, supports a minimalized approach. We believe independents should compete on the same terms as parties. The Concord obliges Parliament to make amendments to the Act to allow independents to stand against parties in national and provincial elections. It does not force us to change a system that has served the country well and led to no voters or parties ever contesting that we had free and fair national or provincial elections. We have to make sure the system stays fair, simple, and practical. A crowded and long ballot can make election a logistic nightmare. At the moment, parties pay 60,000 deposit for national and 45,000 per provincial. They win back the deposit of they win one seat. The committee should decide if the same threshold could apply for deposits for independents. One seat is one seat, whether for a party or an independent. Similar to independents in wards, independent candidates and parties that do not have any seats from previous elections must be able to show that they have at least some support that could potentially win a seat. We should have a very low limit of support to allow serious parties and independents to participate without encouraging parties and people and overcrowding the process. We support the unrepresented parties and independent candidates should be able to show support of at least 1/3 of the votes needed to win a seat in the previous elections. This is the only way to keep the ballot paper to a reasonable size.
My naam is C.N. Sichawa en ek wil net van die punte uitlig dat ons eerstens voel dat die terme wat daar gestel word vir die politieke partye dieselfde moet wees vir die as onafhanklike partye. Ons voel ook dat die sisteme wat in plek gestel moet wees, regverdig en prakties moet wees en dat die hoeveelheid setels wat aangeteken word, dieselfde moet wees vir politieke partye as ook vir onafhanklike partye. Persone wat dan ook wil staan, moet dan kan wys dat hulle ondersteuning het en stemme het vanaf die gemeenskap om te kan staan vir verkiesing. Dankie.
Madume, leina la me ke SN Setšhaba, nna ke leloko la lekoko la sepolotiki la ANC, ebile re dumalana sentle le go amogela molaotlhomo ono o mametleletsweng. Re batho ba re eletsa gore go nne jalo mo teng ga naga ya rona segolobogolo go dira gore tsamaiso ya ditlhopho tseno tse mo nageng yotlhe le mo teng ga karolo ya diporofense e nne e dirwang sentle le ka tolamo. Me e nne thulaganyo e leng gore ga ya rarana, me ke thulaganyo e leng gore ke e motlhofu ka dinako tsotlhe, e leng gore tirego ya yone e motlhofu me ga e katle tlhogo. Ka sekai ha re le ba palo ya tse di tlhokegang tsa diboutu ka sekai mo diporofenseng e nne palo e fitlhang kwa go mo e ka nnang 45,000 e le yona e amogelesegang le e go ka dirwang sentle ka yone. Re eletsa gore e nne kganya gore le mo teng ga dikarolo tsa baagi tiragalo eno e kgona go dirisiwa sentle ka tsela e leng gore e motlhofu ebile e kgona go latelelwa. Bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi kgotsa makoko a sepolotiki ba tshwanetse gore ba nne le ditshwanelego tse ba ka di supang tse di netefatsang gore ba tshwanelegela go ka tlhophiwa gore le bone ba tsenele kgaisano ya ditlhopho tseno, mme thulaganyo ya teng e nne thulaganyo e leng gore ga ya tlakatlakana, ga ya rarana, ga ena batho ba bontsi jo e leng gore e kete ba gatana, mme e nne kgang ya gore thulaganyo ke e phuthulogileng sentle. Mme ebile ba tshwanetse gore segolobogolo bone bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba bontshiwe kemonokeng, ka mantswe a mangwe ba supportiwe mo kgaisanong eo e ba e tsenetseng. Eo ke yona fela tsela e le nngwe e ka yona re ka kgonang go bontsha le go dira sentle gore di-ballot paper tsa rona di dirisiwe ka tshwanelo. Ke a leboga.
Good morning. I, Katlego Diluke from African National Congress, Ward 6, Priscilla Brav, supports the minimalist approach. The ANC has always supported a proportional representation system as it is best suited to a country as diverse as ours in terms of race, class, and language. It ensures that every political viewpoint shared by more than 1/4% of the population is able to find representation in Parliament and speak on behalf of the constituency. We have never supported a first-past post-constituency system, as it is difficult to reach the same level of diverse representation when only one or maybe a handful of people are selected to represent a distinct geographical area. Each geographical area has its own level of diversity and division. The PR system has meant that parties, even small parties, that get a little as 0.25% and of the vote remain in Parliament and have a voice in every legislature. The Vrij Hands Front Plus is a good example of a party that has been accommodated peacefully and constructively because of the PR system since our democracy started, but has never reached 2.5% of the vote. It is hard to imagine them or any other small party winning constituency seats when the constituencies, if there were only 200 for Parliament, would have been 100,000 voters. The PR system also allows better representation of women, youth, and other marginalized groups. The ANC supports option 1 as included on the amended bill. We broadly support it as the best option for implementing the Constitutional Court order. Thank you.
Goeiedag, ek verteenwoordig die ANC in wijk 6. Ons ondersteun hierdie wetsontwerp. Die ANC is altyd ten gunste daarvan vir verteenwoordiging van die diversiteit van ons land, die mense van verskillende rasse, tale, kleur, en dat daar versekering is dat daar verantwoordelikheid is in die parlement en verantwoordbaarheid is daar. Ons kan sien dat die kiesafdelingsstelsel nie noodwendig sal werk nie, omdat ons baie diversiteit in verskillende geografiese areas het en dat openbare verteenwoordiging nie noodwendig daar geskik sal wees nie, omdat net 'n handvol persone 'n hele groot groep sal kan verteenwoordig. Dit is ook baie moeilik wanneer dit kom by die toeken van setels met 100,000 stemmers. En ons voel dat die ANC in oorsig opsie 1 van hierdie wetsontwerp ondersteun. Baie dankie.
Nna ke tswa ko ward number 6, mme ke leloko la ANC, mme ke mongwe wa batho ba e leng gore re tshegetsa molaotlhomo ono, ka mantswe a mangwe re a o support-a. Ka lebaka la gore ANC e ntse e le lekoko le ka dinako tsotlhe le ntse le dira gore seno se nne motlhofo mo gare ga batho ba merafe e farologaneng ba ba sa tshwaneng. Re setse re shebile batho ba ditso, dipuo tse di farologaneng, jalo le jalo. Palo e ka nnang ya 1,000 population ke palo e nyane fela thata, mme ha re leba dikarolo tsa dinaga tse batho ba nnang mo go tsone tse di nang le batho ba ba farologaneng ka mokgwa o ntseng jalo, PI system e dira gore go kgonege gore go fitlhelelwe 25 ya di-votes mo teng ga palamente fa e le gore sekai se se molemo seno se ka latelelwa ke lekoko lengwe le lengwe la sepolotiki ka lebaka la gore PI system yone e buelela thata 2.5 votes e leng gore tota ga ise tsamaye e fitlhelelwe ha e sale e re ke kopo e leng ya rona e re letsang gore e ka lejwa le go dirwa ke a leboga.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Maureen Vale, Provincial Coordinator for One South Africa Movement in the Northern Cape. I reside in Kimberly. We as OSA reject the bill. We support the bill of Musia Lekota. We want a constituency-based system. It is unconstitutional that the independent candidates are not allowed to contest all 400 seats in our parliament, but only 50% of it. We want to give power back to our people, and we want to hold our leaders accountable. It is extremely difficult now with this current bill to get jobs and just sanitation and water in Kimberly. So with everything happening in this way, we will not have our people employed or even sanitation and water and everything else. We want access to our leaders and everything else. I thank you.
Goeiemôre almal. My naam is Merel en ek is vanaf Kimberly. Ek staan teen hierdie wetsontwerp en ons voel wel dat ons meer wil werk na die grondwetgebaseerde stelsel. Ons voel ook dat ons gekant staan en betwis die feit dat ons slegs vir 200 setels kan aansoek doen en nie die 400 wat wel beskikbaar is nie. Ons wil graag ook meer die autoriteit en die krag na ons mense bring. In hierdie tyd is dit ook baie moeilik vir ons om werke te vind. Dit is baie moeilik om sanitasie ensovoorts te kry om dienslewering vir ons as gemeenskap en dus voel ons as dit nie betwis word nie, gaan die stelsel en prosesse net so voortgaan. Ons wil graag net ook aan ons gemeenskap vra dat ons wil toegang hê tot ons leiers. Dankie.
Na sefane sa ka ka leina ke Van Wyk re tswa mo kgaolong ya masepala ya Musiwa Lekota mme re mo kgaolong ya batho ba e leng gore re fitlhela re na le mathata a seng kana ka sepe ka molaotlhomo ono o mametleletsweng o re buang ka one gone jaanong jaana lebaka e le gore keng tota gona no jaana rona ne re ka rata gore bommasepala e nne bone ba ba sikarisiwang maikarabelo ka lebaka la gore molaotlhomo ono o re buang ka one gone jaanong one o re thatafaletsa dilo ha re tla mo kganya ya go batla ditiro kgotsa kgelelo ya leswe la matlwana kgotsa metsi a phepa re nna le mathata a seng kana ka sepe ka gonne ga re tlhofofaletse dilo tse di ntseng jalo mme gone jaanong jaana keletso ya rona ke gore go nne motlhofo gore re kgone go fitlhelela baeteledipele ba rona ka jalo ke se re se kopang mme re fitlhela e le gore molaotlhomo one o re thatafaletsa go fitlhelela dilo tse di ntseng jalo re a leboga.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Ronald February. I am the elected councillor in Siyathemba Municipality Ward 2, and I am here today representing my people. I'm objecting to that bill, and so does the people of Siyathemba. And the reason is simple. I want the Parliament and everyone to understand that you are in the province that has actually proven to us what it means when we are saying we want constituency-based system. It is in the Northern Cape that the last local elections has proven to us that community want accountability. It is particularly in my district, Pixley, where communities has come together in community forums to make sure that they have accountability for the services that people need to deliver to them, and that they can see who is the people that are representing them. In Pixley Kaseme, there is 8 municipalities. In my municipality, our community has 40% of them said we want a constituency that is accountable. In Sianguma, our neighbors, there is 3 independents elected with political parties with standard municipality around. So in Nsivombo and in Karriebek, civic movements of the people has said we want constituencies that we can see. In the People's Bill, we are suggesting that districts are being represented by candidates that is going to be accountable to those constituencies. If in Pixley Kasema, those community forums is not being afforded to put themselves candidates both in province and in national, then we are going to have a problem. But if we are taking the facts as it is, then we will see it will be unrealistic for them to put somebody there as an independent to support, get an overwhelming majority of support, and then the excess of those votes is going to fall away to nowhere. How is that fair to the people and their right to vote? If the votes that is in excess of that the independent is going to get, it's going to be ignored. Secondly, when we want a true constituency-based system, we cannot want to limit how people are being elected into what seats. We need to be able to open all the seats for all of them. And we need to be able to give them the right to associate with independents so that those votes can actually fall somewhere into a pot. I want to also lastly say to this House that it's very, very wrong for this bill to want to ignore the recommendations that was given by, for instance, the Van Zyl-Samblet report. Because those inputs, you cannot see them in this bill. They are not being reflected in this bill. And therefore, it is important that when we go back, we need to go and look closely at the constitutional judgment and ask ourselves, how is it reasonable for this bill so that Parliament and the state avoid another court battle? Because we can already see discarded votes is going to be a battle not just from those that took this bill to the Constitutional Court, but from our communities. Because we are not going to allow the lawmakers to discard our votes and then give benefit to political parties by making certain seats available only to them. I want to conclude by saying to Parliament and to everybody that can hear my voice, we have to start to look to the future, not to what things used to be. In the Bill of Rights, Section 8, we are being given a mandate to create law that is going to advance our people into the future. If we look back, we see problems, we see unaccountability. If we look to what we are being given by people and how people are voting, we are seeing the future is a constituency that is directly accountable and for people to choose not just provincially, but right through to national, who is accountable to them. Thank you.
Goeiemôre, my naam is Ronald February. Ek is 'n wijkraadslid van wijk 2. Ek moet sê ons ondersteun nie hierdie wetsontwerp nie. Ons het in hierdie provinsie gesien met die vorige verkiesing dat die kiesafdelingsstelsel baie meer effektief werk. Ons het in die gemeenskap van Pixley ook forums wat mense aanspreeklik hou en ons kan sien wie die mense is wat die gemeenskap bedien. Daar's 8 munisipaliteite in daardie distrik waar daar 3 onafhanklike kandidate is en partye is in een van ons buurdorpe en ons het ook maatskaplike bewegings wat aanspreeklik gehou word. Daar is ook distriksverteenwoordigings van kandidate wat aanspreeklik gehou kan word. Ons wil nie hê dat die distrik 'n kandidaat moet kies nie. Ons wil hê dit moet deur die mense gedoen word. Dit sal onrealisties wees. Ook vir kandidate om ondersteuning te moet invorder en stemme in te vorder en dan val die oortollige stemme weg. Hoe kan dit regverdig wees om dit te ignoreer? Daar moet 'n plan beraam word om gebruik te maak van die oortollige stemme. En ons wil ook sien dat alle setels beskikbaar gestel moet word vir onafhanklike kandidaate en nie net 'n sekere hoeveelheid nie en die res gereserveer word vir politieke partye nie. Ons kan nie toelaat dat die mense so geïgnoreer word nie. Ons het gesien dat daar aanbevelings gemaak is tot hierdie wetsontwerp en dit is geïgnoreer. Dit skyn nie deur in hierdie voorgestelde wysigings nie. Ons sien dat die hofbevel beslis het dat hierdie proses ongrondwetlik is, maar ons wil hê dat daar saamgewerk moet word en hoe ons hierdie wetsontwerp saamstel, dat daar nie weer hofsaake en sovoorts daaruit vooruitstem nie. Dan wil ons ook hê dat daar nie net sekere voordeel gegee moet word tot politieke partye met die weggooi van stemme nie, want dit gaan weer 'n kwessie raak as ons dit nie nou aanspreek nie. Ons moet ophou om te kyk na die verlede, ons moet fokus op die toekoms en die handves van regte sê ook dat die mense in nommer 8, dat dit die mense se voorreg is om te help om wette te skep om die toekoms te bevorder. Ons moet hê dat daar aanspreeklikheid is en kyk na die toekoms dat kiesafdelings gekies kan word om aanspreeklik gehou te word in hierdie gemeenskappe. Baie dankie.
Leina la ka ke Ronald February, mme ke batla go simolola ka go tlhalosa ka tlhamalalo gore rona ga re dumalane le molaotlhomo ono, re a o gana. Segolobogolo ha re leba dilo tse di diregang mo profenseng ya rona. Profense eno ya rona ya Northern Cape ke profense e leng gore re batla gore go nne le tekatekano ha re leba constituency e re leng mo go yona. Re tshwara di-forum tsa baagi ka gonne ha re di tshwara ra bo re batla go bona gore ke bomang ba ba tshwanetse gore ba sekerisiwe maikarabelo a ditirelo tseo re di tlhokang. Mme re ile ra tlhokomela go le gantsi gore mo dikarolong tse di farologaneng tsa porofense ya rona o fitlhele go na le dipalo tse e leng gore ga di lekane sentle tsa batho ba ba tshwanetse gore ba direlwe ditirelo ke makoko a e leng a sepolotiki. Ka jalo ke ka lone lebaka le re reng re batla gore batho ba e leng gore ke bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba sekerisiwe maikarabelo a e leng gore a tla solegela batho ba ba leng mo teng ga dikarolo tsa rona tsa baagi molemo. Selo se sengwe se rile ra seela tlhoko ke gore tota ga go utlwale gore ha batho ba ba tlileng go tsenela kgaisano ya ditlhopho ba neilwe palo e rileng ya diboutu go bo gotwe ha palo e fetile e ba neng ba e beetswe gore ba e fitlhelele e be gotwe tse dintse tsotlhe tse dintse di tla latlhiwa. Tota go wrong gore go dirwa ka tsela e ntseng jalo, go a bo go tlhokomologiwa tshitshinyo e ileng ya tlhagisiwa ke molao ya gore go dirwe eng ka palo eo ya divoutu tse di saletseng kgotsa tsa palo e oketsegileng. Go ile ga ntshiwa ditshitshinyo ka ga kgang eo, mme se e rileng ra sela tlhoko gone jaanong jaana ke gore ga re di bone ditshitshinyo tseo, ga di a tsenngwa mo teng ga molaotlhomo ono wa gone jaanong jaana o mametleletsweng. Ka jalo se se tlileng go direga fano fa ke gore re tlile go nna le dintwa kwa kgotlatshekelong, mme ga re tle go kgona go tila dintwa tse di ntseng jalo ka lebaka la gore ditshitshinyo tsa rona ga di a tsenngwa tirisong ebile go unfair gore go tsewe dipalo tseo tse di feteletseng tsa diboutu di latlhiwe di seka tsa newa ba bangwe. Se ke se bonang ke bona e kete isago e re yang go yone e maswe thata, ga e itumedisi, le e re tswang go yone le yone e maswe ka tsela e tshwanang. Ka jalo ke batla gore botlhe ba nkutlwe ha ke bua mafoko ano a isago ya rona e sa jeseng monate e re go bonalang re lebile pele go ya kwa go yone. Ke a leboga.
Greetings. My name is Vosi Rapoto. I am the leader of the EFF in the Francis Part region. I am also a PR councillor at Francis Part District Municipality. I thought political problems need political solutions. Unlike today in South Africa, political solutions are we getting them through courts and judgments. Very funny. Political problems need political solutions. That is why the EFF is against this bill. The advent of democracy in 1994, we saw organizations like Soccer, KISS, and so many. In 1994, if you recall the ballot, people were using it opportunistically, using money just to register and see if they could get an advantage of being perhaps in parliament and make money. Is that the intention of the democracy? Certainly not. An independent candidate can also be construed as some form of individualism, which is also not democratic, depending how you interpret it. Hence our emphasis as the EFF on at least a regulation about a threshold of at least 20,000 people, so that we do not have a situation where everybody wants to be in the ballot box. That is also abuse of the voter. It then also lessens democracy from a judgment from a constitutional court. It's a sharp contradiction in my view. Other people form organizations because of, for example, they get expelled from their organization. Tomorrow they will stand as independent. Now, Constitutional Court has spoken, litigation makes legislation, we have to follow. But check it, the challenges we might have. This individual, prompted by emotions, form a political party. When the emotions have relented, they vanish. Is that democracy? That's abuse. We submit, we are against it, and at least because it's there from the highest court, 20,000 threshold must be the benchmark. Salute.
Goeiemôre. Ek is Woesie Rapoto. Ek is 'n wijkraadslid van Francis Baard. Politieke probleme het politieke oplossings nodig. En moet nie eintlik deur howe en regters behartig word nie. Ek meen politieke probleme het 'n politieke oplossing nodig. Die EFF staan teen hierdie wetsontwerp. In die begin van demokrasie in 1994 het ons gesien dat daar baie partye opgespring het soos SOCA en KISS wat eintlik maar net opportunisties geregistreer het en dit as 'n metode gebruik om geld te maak. Kan dit regtig demokraties wees? En ons is bevrees dat 'n onafhanklike kandidaat moontlik dieselfde uitwerking kan hê en dat dit 'n vorm van individualisme is wat nie demokraties is nie. Ons voel dat daar moet 'n 20,000 stemperk wees en dit sal verhoed dat nie almal net lukraak op die kieserslys kan kom nie. En hoewel die Grondwethof nou uitspraak gelewer het, is dit eintlik nogal teenstrydig met wat ek genoem het. Maar soos ek sê, die Grondwethof het gepraat en nou moet ons volg. Maar ons moet ook in ag neem wat die uitdagings is wat ons moontlik in die gesig kan staar. Daar kan 'n geval wees waar daar konstante mosies is en wat nie noodwendig sal seëvier nie en so sal daardie persoon net eenvoudig verdwyn. En daarom voel ons dat hierdie 20,000 stemtelling baie nodig is vir iemand om te kwalifiseer, maar ons staan nog steeds hierdie wetsontwerp teen. Dankie.
Nalina la me ke Vose Rapeto, ke leloko la lekoko la sepolotiki la EFF mo masepaleng wa Francis Baard. Mme ebile gape ke mo counselara mo lekgotleng le le ntseng jalo. Ke eme fano fa ke tlhalosa gore ke na le mathata a sepolotiki mo go rayang gore ke tlhoka eng, ke tlhoka ditharabololo tsa sepolotiki. Ditharabololo tseno tsa sepolotiki di ka bonwa ka mokgwa o ntseng jang, di ka bonwa ka mokgwa wa go tsenela dintwa go kgotlatshekelong le go bona katlholo ya yone. Jaanong ya ka ha ke bua mathata a sepolotiki a tlhoka ditharabololo. Rona lekoko la EFF ga re dumalane le molaotlhomo one, ga re o amogele, re a o gana. Ka 1994 go ile ga simolola puso e go tweng ke ya democracy, e mo go yone go ne ga tlhaga batho ba ba neng ba letetse fela go bona tšhono ya gore bone ba ne ba ka iponela eng se se molemo go ikgotsofatsa bone e seng go direla batho ba bangwe. A mokgwa o ntseng jalo re ka o bitsa gore ke democracy? No, ga se democracy. Go na le batho ba re ba bitsa gore ke bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi, ka mantswe a mang independent candidates. Re ka nna ra ba leba ka kgopolo e nngwe e sele re bue gore ke batho ba the individualism, ka mantswe a mang go ikaegile ka gore wena o interpreta yang lereo le le ntseng jalo ha go bua ka bone. Go beilwe selekanyo sa 20,000 ya palo ka mantswe a mang ya di-vote. Selo seo ke go abuse di-vote tota ebile go nyenyefatsa democracy ya rona. Batho ba bangwe ba itlhamela mekgatlo e mengwe e farologaneng e le fela gore ba kgone go iponna se bone ba se batlang, ga se kganya gore ba batla go direla batho ba bangwe. Re na le constitution, re na le dilo tsa litigation kgotsa dithulaganyo tsa semolao, re na le dikgwetlo kgotsa re na le mathata, re na le makoko a sepolotiki a mo go yone o fitlhelang batho ba tlhophiwa, ha ba sena go tlhophiwa go diragang ka bone ba nyelela, ga re tlhole re itse gore ba ile kae. Ke ka lona lebaka leo re leng kgatlhano le molaotlhomo ono o mo go one go tweng go beilwe 20,000 e leng ya benchmark ha go tluwa mo di-voting. Re a leboga.
We've now come to the end of our session. E re ke tseng tšhono e ke lebogele nako ya lona e le dirileng gore le tle fano, and also mention that we are not taking light your advices towards us preparing or our preparatory activities towards such public hearings. Ke a leboga, kopano ya rona e tla fela fa.